Welcome to the garage. I'm Robert, and this is Haslip Cycle Works. Today, we're actually going to be working on a problem with our weld table. It's not a problem with the table itself per se, but a problem with the space that we're losing with this table because of our clamps and tools and stuff that we need handily available. They take up valuable space on the table whenever we're building a part or welding something. So let's get to it. So as you guys can see, while our CertiFlat table gives us the perfect surface to fab on, and you can tell by the current state of it that there's been some work done on it. Running out of real estate real quick. The more of these clamps I build and parts I lay up here, the less room I actually have to work. So today I'm going to bring you two CertiFlat products that'll help us get some of the stuff off the surface of the table and out of our way to give us more room to build the parts that we need for these bikes. This will be a series of videos. Today we have those first two parts from CertiFlat, and I'm also going to add a few other options that CertiFlat offers to this table. And then there's going to be a few things that come from other companies and some stuff that we are going to make ourselves of our own design to kind of clean some stuff up. It's hard to get anything done in a messy workspace, especially when you're being crowded by the tools that you need to use. So follow along, and I'll show these two products to you, and we'll get them, customized and put on the table, and we'll see how much room we actually free up. So as you can see, we got quite a mess down here. You can't see what's on the other side of the camera over here, but trust me, it's not as big as it was when I first got this in here and put together, because we're encroaching on our own space here. So let's go ahead and get that fixed, and let's get those new products on the table so I can show you guys. The first piece that we have from CertiFlat today is going to address where to put these clamps when we don't need them or they're not on the table holding something down. Like I said, this piece is from CertiFlat, and what we do with this is it will bolt to the underside of the table and hang down, and then we can just simply hook our clamps to this so that they're right there when we need them, but out of the way on the surface of the table if we're not using them. Real basic, just a single piece of steel cut out, 16mm holes or 5/8, standard for CertiFlat. This unfortunately is too big to fit in my powder coat, aka toaster oven. Second part for today. Also from CertiFlat. Laser cut, CNC bent, piece of flat sheet metal. And what this will do will actually allow us to get our grinder off the table and hanging on this bracket, which will bolt to the side of the table. And you can, because these are all made for the CertiFlat tables, you can move these anywhere you want. They do sell a bigger version of this where you can put multiple grinders, but I usually only have just the one handy. The other two are over there on the shop wall by the workbench. But this one has a place for you to loop your cord, a place that I just showed you where you can put your grinder, and then a place for one or two wheels depending on what kind of wheels you're using. and it comes with all the hardware that you need to attach it to the table, your shoulder bolts and your nuts. Of course, they're the locking nylon type nuts, so if you're working on something on the table, grinding on something that's affixed, you don't have to worry about your fasteners backing out. Now this piece will fit in my powder coat oven, so we will be powder coating this bad boy red to go with some of the other stuff that we have on the table. So follow along, and you've already seen the powder coat process here on my channel, so I'm not going to bore you with that, but I'll bring you back once it's done and we're getting ready to install these parts. So I've powder coated the hanger for our grinder, and using the attached hardware, it kind of sets in and then keys down on the holes that are already in our table. Very sturdy. Powder coat came out looking good. Of course, that red just pops. Real simple, easy installation. Of course, I complicated things by powder coating it, but you don't have to do that. Paint or just leave it natural. I'll put a link to it in the description, of course. But real simple install, and it's going to get that grinder off our table and give us more surface area to do some of our fab work and welding. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and wrap the cord up and hang the grinder that is my go-to grinder here, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Alright, so I've got our grinder on there. Yeah, it's about time to replace that wheel for sure. Cord storage makes it nice and handy and clean, keeps the cord out of your way so you're not tripping on it, and comes with built-in storage for one, maybe you can get two of these flap discs in there for easy swap out. Great product. Fit and finish is perfect. I didn't have to do any finish work on this at all. No sanding, no cleaning of any of the edges or anything like that. Straight out of the box, wiped it down with acetone, powder coated it, and hung it on the bench. You can't ask for more than that. Next, we'll get the clamp holder hung on the bench, and that'll free up even more room. The spot where we're going to mount our hook for our clamps. You can see it right there, real handy. Just be welding or fabricating or whatever up here on the bench. I can reach right down and grab the clamps. So it should take all of this clutter that we have up here, minus the 1, 2, 3 blocks. Should take all of that off the work surface. You can open up all that room back to allow us to use the complete top of this thing. Simple hardware. I had some extra. It's 5/8 hardware. It's a bolt. 5/8 by 1.5, I believe. And then a thin nylon lock nut on the back. It's just 2 of them. They bolt right through. Bracket, the hook goes on the back side of the table, bolts right through. And the beauty of the CertiFlat system is I can take this, if I decide later on I don't like it right there, and I can move it anywhere on the table. These holes go all the way around, both sides, front and back. Of course, you've seen them all over the top. So you can put it pretty much anywhere on the table you want it. So I'm going to go ahead and get our hardware on here and tightened up, and move our clamps over to it, and see how much space we reclaim. So we reclaimed that entire corner and most of this side by moving those clamps down to our new hook, and all of them hang there no problems. If I do continue to make more clamps though, I probably will have to add 1, maybe 2 more of these hooks. As much real estate as we have on the sides of this table that we're not using for anything else, that is not a problem at all. CertiFlat parts are great. This one required no prep either. Bolted right on, no issues. And as you can see, works out perfectly. I don't have to tweak it, don't have to do anything. Just right out of the box and good to go. So the last thing I want to do, because this is just raw steel and we are putting heat into it and cutting stuff on top of it and whatnot, we leave a lot of, you can see this kind of dark colored dust. Some of that's abrasive dust from the cutoff wheels and the flap discs. Some of it is real fine steel. There's probably some aluminum mixed in there, some stainless steel. So this top being raw steel, you get a lot of that stuff that sits on it, and then of course moisture in the air gets to it and you end up with little surface rust spots. So there is a little bit of maintenance required for these tables. The best thing that I found is to take a Scotch-Brite, because you don't want to change the dimensions of the table by using sandpaper or something like that, but just something that'll take that surface rust off, like a Scotch-Brite or a Brillo pad, or whatever you want to use, and spray WD-40 down, hit it with your Scotch-Brite, and once you see it start coming clean, just wipe it off with a clean rag. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and then show you the after results. Right, so just to recap, we got our grinder off our work surface. It has its own place to hang with disc storage and cord storage. And other than our TIG torch holder, our tabletop is free and clear, ready for the next round of parts to be fabbed or welded. We moved all the clamps that were clustering up in this corner here and along this side, taking up valuable space, down to our CertiFlat hook for our clamps. Clean that up real nice, and then I cleaned the surface of the table with some WD-40 and a Scotch-Brite. Took care of all of that surface rust. The WD-40 is good to put on there. Every once in a while, that kind of drives away the moisture and kind of keeps the tabletop looking good. If you take care of this thing, there's no reason you couldn't pass it along to your kids and then down to your grandkids. Take care of it. It's one of those heirloom tools. So come out, if you don't use that often, if you have one, or really any raw steel surface that you're working on, every month or two, just come out, spray some WD-40 on it and wipe it down. If you see any rust or anything starting to form, hit it with a Scotch-Brite. Just keep it clean. Don't let shavings and grinding dust collect on it for very long. You don't want it to start to rust and cause pitting. But yeah, I love this table. So we do have a few other things planned for this table. One of which is this ground clamp for the welder. Like to make that a more permanent fixture to the table. We will be, as we start building more and more complicated parts, we'll be adding more clamps. So we'll need to add at least one more, maybe two more of these hooks. And then there's a few things that we'll be doing to kind of clean up and reclaim some floor space here in the shop, for things that we use at the table all the time. So stay tuned for those. Like I said earlier, there will be several videos in a series about accessories that you can buy from CertiFlat for these tables, accessories that you can buy from a third party for these tables, and some that we can make ourselves. So stay tuned. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. As always, comment, like, and if you haven't done yet, subscribe. Let your friends know what we're doing here at Haslip Cycle Works. And until next time, guys, get up, get out there, and do it.